Every once in a while, a Cars diecast will be re-released where it feels so surreal to see them on store shelves again. That's how I felt when Grem and Acer finally came back. Two cars gone from the diecast line for so long. It was so exciting, surprising, and felt honestly kind of weird to just see them casually at my Target and Walmart and be able to buy them again. And that's certainly how I felt about Flash Nilsson here. It was absolutely crazy to go into a Target this weekend and see four of this guy. Four. If you don't know the Cars diecast line super well, you might be wondering why. Why exactly would it be so strange to see this guy? Let's just cut to the chase. Or should I say, cut to the super chase, because Flash Nilsson here was a super chase. For the first time in the history of the Cars diecast line, a super chase has been re-released. For those of you who don't know, because they're not around in the toy line anymore, super chases were these super limited edition cars that Mattel would release a couple each year from 2011 to 2020. They were limited to a couple thousand each. I believe it was typically about 5,000. It would be clarified on the packaging. And yeah, for the first time ever, they decided to re-release one, making this item that was previously limited to only about 5,000 be a fully widely released single. Again, like I said, I saw four of this guy at Target over the weekend. Of course, a lot of people have been really excited about this, myself included, but it has stirred up a bit of debate. Should we be re-releasing these items that were super limited edition? Well, here's where I stand on it. A few years ago, Mattel decided that they could start re-releasing regular chases. Chase diecasts weren't as limited as super chases, but they were always released just once in a year with the promise of not coming back. Super chases stopped in 2014, and in 2022 they decided to re-release one, Lee Rosse. In 2023 they re-released another one, Miles Axelrod with open hood. And I really didn't mind that, and I saw a lot of people also not really mind, because chases had been gone from the toy line for a very long time, so, I thought it was okay to bring them back. And honestly, I feel the same way about super chases, to maybe a bit of a lesser extent, but since super chases are no longer around in the toy line, and they haven't made new ones in 6 whole years, I don't really mind the concept of bringing them back, so long as they don't overdo it and just keep it to a limited number returning. I think that's okay, because it allows these super limited edition items to be in the hands of collectors that never got them the first time around and never could get them because there's a limited number of items. And of course, it also lets kids easily get these very specific characters. In the case of Flash Nilsson, he was part of the first ever assortment of super chases based on the international versions of the Tokyo party scene in Cars 2. Famously, depending on which international cut of Cars 2 you watch, Jeff Gorvette will be replaced with a different racer from a different country. Flash Nilsson is in the Swedish cut, named after a racer from real life with the last name Nilsson, who appeared to play this role. So yeah, they did a set of these different guys. I never got any of them, so getting Flash Nilsson here was super surreal and honestly pretty cool. And while again, there is some controversy, some debate over bringing back super chases, I'm always happy to be able to get an item that I couldn't get before, one that was super difficult to get, that is now easily accessible, at least for the time being. I really highly doubt that this car coming back will greatly devalue the original, since it is technically a different item. This is also made in China, but it's sort of the Thailand-esque variant of this character on a different card back. So I don't think it's going to really devalue the original, but still, pretty cool. Hello everybody, and welcome back to yet another review and to another 2026 Cars Diecast review. Today, I'm very excited to be taking a look at Flash Nilsson. Again, so surreal to see this guy. What beautiful character artwork. So cool. Now, funnily enough, this is the first time his diecast is actually called Flash Nilsson. The original diecast just called him Flash. Another cool thing the original item did was actually have a Swedish version of the Cars logo. They did that for all the international racers, having the logos match the country of origin. Now he is just on a standard uniform packaging, which makes perfect sense. Flipping on over to the back, you can see, as seen in Cars 2, we've got a pretty decent year for Cars 2 this year. Now that the GRC is over, we're finally getting regular World Grand Prix racers back in the diecast line, and that's really helped bolster the Cars 2 assortment. You can see McQueen with racing wheels, albeit the image is the wrong version of him. That's a picture of the launcher variant, not the regular one. Francesco, Mater with Balloon, who was last out a couple years back. I want to say that Flash is in the same case as him. I think maybe. Carlo Veloso, Mel Dorado, and my boy Nigel Gearsley. Now, Flash here is in the same case as the new downscaled Morgan Martins. Morgan Martins also previously a Super Chase, getting a new version here. That's a downscaled version of the original. And unfortunately, I found 4 of Flash Nilsson and no of Morgan Martins. So hopefully I can find Morgan soon. Anyway, let's take this guy out of the package. What an absolutely crazy item to re-release, you know? I've said it before, and I'll say it again. Back over the summer, when we started getting 2026 leaks, you know, I did a video reporting on the fact that we'd be getting a new version of Dale Earnhardt Jr., Flash Nilsson, and Mike 07 would be coming back. And I think we're getting a second Tokyo Party racer also. I forget which one. Is it Long J? I don't quite remember. But yeah, so many comments saying there's no way this is real. And I even said in the video, you know, obviously the rumors taken with a grain of salt, but these are all pretty reputable rumors because they're all coming from Walmart listings. And I remember when that news came out, I was like, these are very reputable links and sources that I trust, but no one's going to believe it because it's insane to tell people in a news video, in a rumor video, Super Chases, Mike 07, and Dale Earnhardt Jr. are all coming back. But here we are. That has actually happened. 2026, not my favorite year of the Cars diecast line, but genuinely has some absolutely crazy and insanely cool things going on. I don't know if bringing Flash Nilsson back was like a sort of 20th anniversary thing, but I do think that a great way to celebrate the Cars series is to bring back these super obscure characters from international cuts of the movie. And Mike 07, a character from a piece of canceled Cars media. You know, I think that those really help kind of with the 20th anniversary celebration this year. These super obscure characters, kind of the most obscure the Cars diecast line has ever gone when it comes to characters that appeared on screen. Because these guys, again, not in most cuts of the film. So here is Flash, and as you can see, he is very clearly a sort of Thailand variant of the original item. All of these cars reuse the Max Schnell mold, probably just because it was super easy for the animators. I always wanted, I think it was Fernando Alonso, right, who used the Miguel Camino mold. Unfortunately, he never got a diecast. I would love if they took the opportunity of these guys coming back to make some new ones. Unfortunately, I don't think that's going to happen. Just seems like a really weird thing to make a new item from. But hey, maybe next year that'd be super cool. I don't know. I do hope that they don't re-release more of these guys next year. I think just doing these 2 now is a good option. Like I said, it kind of fits in with the 20th anniversary theme. But yeah, he's very shiny, very blue. Of course, we have the colors of the Swedish flag. You got these 3 crowns on his hood, and then a yellow cross on the side with 3 blue crowns instead. Very striking color scheme. I really, really like how this guy looks. This is a character I didn't really pay much attention to beforehand. A lot of these international racers just kind of blend together in my mind. I'm usually very good with names, but typically I don't remember the specific names of each of these racers just because, again, they're super obscure and from the international cuts of the movies. And I don't own any of them other than the ice racer version of the Russian racer. So, yeah, just seeing this guy, having him in hand, it's so trippy. It's so cool. Unfortunately, all these guys not only reused the body of Max, but also reused his face. But hey, it's okay. I'll give him a pass for it. This looks really, really good. The blue is so striking. I love this shade of blue. The yellow makes for great highlights. And of course, since this is Max Schnell repainted, you have these carbon fiber detailing. All throughout. Very textured. You can hear it if you run your finger down it. We've got black rear view mirrors and a black bumper, which adds some nice additional color. And like I said before, moving on to the sides, we have this yellow cross, which also covers up the windows, which is a very nice touch. We've got a regularly painted back window here, though, and also some silver on the sides of the spoilers, which is pretty interesting. Like all these racers, Flash doesn't have a number because he doesn't actually compete in the race. When I was a kid and I knew about these international racers, I made the mistake, I'm sure several of us thought, which was the assumption that these characters fully replaced Jeff Gorvette in all of his scenes, but no, that's not the case. Quite simply, these guys are in the Tokyo party scene, and that's it. And I'm sure that probably confused a lot of kids, right? Probably confused several people who assumed that the racer McQueen met would, show up in the race, and then none of them did. But yeah, anybody from my audience, if you are from Sweden and saw the version of the film with this character, or if you was in any versions in addition to the Swedish one, please let me know your experience with this character down in the comments. I would love to hear it. This is, I think, the only time in the history of the channel, right, where I've reviewed an item where I don't have any personal connection to the character. I've never seen the scene with this guy in it. Although I'm sure I've watched like a YouTube compilation at some point. And that just makes it a very cool and unique item. There is a look at the other side. And finally, there is a look at the base. So yeah, super, super crazy car to bring back. Easily one of the biggest highlights of the year. And that's saying something because 2026 is delivering a lot of really cool re-releases and new releases. While bringing back Super Chases is a contentious topic, I do think at the end of the day, it was a good idea to bring back a couple of these old World Grand Prix racers, re-enter them into the toy line. It's really great to see them, and for collectors to get their hands on these items, especially because they're not even making new Super Chases anymore, so why not, right? Anyway, guys, thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye now.